Om Shanti, everyone. Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to every one of you on behalf of Brahma Kumaris Silicon Valley. Today, we'll explore a few ways we can deal with small and big uncertainties. My name is Rashmi. I'm an IT professional and I've been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for over 5 years now. Everything that I'll be sharing today is what I've learned through meditation and the knowledge shared here. Before we begin, let's prepare our mind with a few minutes of meditation. Let me look at a time when things were most certain. I was happy, peaceful, and everything seemed to be in control. Also, there were times I faced small challenges, but I felt empowered. Because I felt empowered, those challenges seemed fun as interesting games. And there were situations which were big, which stayed with me for the longest. But they left, giving me an experience, a message, a lesson. Every situation I face has something to offer me if I am open to it. So we all have faced uncertainty, and uncertainty is not new to any one of us. So any uncertainty will start first from the mind, from the soul. So I might be peaceful at this moment, but I might be peaceless in the next moment. I might be happy, but I'm not sure what I'll be feeling the next moment. I might be present in this moment, but the next moment, I might move on to the past or future. So it is so uncertain. When there's so much uncertainty in the soul, so there's a lot of uncertainty in the body as well. So I might look healthy today, but I'm not sure what I'll be diagnosed with tomorrow. And even the relationships. One might be happy in a relationship today, but we are not sure if they feel the same way in a few days or a few years, or if they are together. And even at our workplace, I might have my job today. One might go to office and they might not be sure if they will have that job when they come back home in the evening, or if they have a business going all right. We are not sure if that business will go well the next year or in a few months. So there's so much uncertainty out there as well, and even in the nature, the viruses, and there are so many natural calamities. One might go out and we are not sure if that person will come back that day. And even if somebody is at home, it doesn't mean that they are safe at home. So there's so much going on in all directions. So there was a king, and that king had invited for a painting competition in his kingdom. So the theme of that painting competition was peace. And a lot of artists had come from different places within that kingdom. And a few of the artists created a beautiful, calm, serene lake, which looked very peaceful. And a few artists created a painting of a garden with beautiful flowers, which also seemed very peaceful. But the king seemed to be very much interested and attracted towards one painting. And everybody starts to wonder, what is so peaceful about this painting? There's a tree in the midst of a big storm on the edge of a cliff, and the tree looks as though it can break any time. And there was nothing peaceful about this painting. And everybody started to wonder what is interesting to the king in this painting. But the king was looking at a nest in that painting on the tree. And in the nest, there was a bird which seemed very peaceful in the midst of that storm, in the midst of everything that was going on. The bird was peaceful, and all that bird was doing was keeping the two eggs in the nest warm, and what it was supposed to do. And the king said, it is easy to be peaceful when everything around is going well. But this is real peace, when there's a storm going on around and you still hold on to your peace and you still do what you are supposed to do. And if we really think, we all want to be this bird. So no matter what is happening, we would like to be peaceful, no matter what happens. And we want to take care of our loved ones. But is it possible? And if it is possible, how we can do that? So in any situation, for us to be victorious, or in a situation and things, there are two things. One is myself, how powerful I am, and there is the situation or uncertainty or a problem. So when they both are equally powerful, there is a long, good fight between the situation and myself. For one to win over the other, one has to be bigger. So if I am very small in my self-respect, and if I feel weak, and if the uncertainty is looking too big to me, then it is certain that I will be defeated very easily. And the uncertainty will win over me. But if I have to be the winner, then I have to be powerful, much more powerful than the uncertainty. I should have that much self-respect and faith in myself. And I should make the uncertainty or the situation so small that I feel that I'm very much capable to handle that situation. So that's the only thing. I should feel powerful and the situation looks small, then I can easily win over or go across that situation. So Raj Yoga offers a lot of aspects which will help us to do that, to feel myself more powerful, and in the scheme of things, to look at the situations as very small thing compared to how powerful I am. So we will discuss today a few of those things. One of that is moving from limited to unlimited consciousness. If I say, I'm Rashmi and I'm this bodily being, I'm a female, I'm from India, I'm a Hindu, these are all my limited beliefs. But the unlimited consciousness is when I know that I am a soul and everybody around me also is a soul, and we all belong to the one God, the Father, and we are all his children. We are brothers, and we are all playing our roles on this world stage. We all are hero actors. So in a limited drama, there's just one hero. But in this unlimited drama, we all are hero actors, hero of our own roles. So when I look at myself this way, when I have such big self-respect, and when I know that I'm a child of God, I feel very powerful and I feel very safe and secure. And when I'm in that high stage, elevated stage, the situation and the uncertainties look so small that it feels like I can go through them very easily. So I think we can understand this better with an example. So it is my own experience. A few years ago, I was working for a startup company, and our company got bought over by another company, which also was a startup. So it was a merger. So when the two companies merged together, there were a lot of changes that were happening, like the work location and the cultures of the two companies were not the same, exactly the same. So there were a lot of changes. So the applications from our old company had to be merged into the other application. So there are a lot of infrastructural changes as well. So and also I was moved between projects and teams. So there were basically a lot of changes that was happening, and there were a lot of moving pieces. So in the midst of that, even my managers change quite frequently, and you can understand if the managers change that frequently. So every manager has their own style of working and their expectations. So every time we had to adapt to the new manager and their working style. So that added a lot of work, and it seemed very unnecessary. And after some time, I had to work with one manager with whom I found it very difficult to work with because there are two approaches. So one is that I trust you unless you prove me otherwise. I trust you unless you prove me otherwise. And there is another approach. I don't trust you unless you prove me otherwise. And to be working with somebody with the second approach is very difficult because I had to put in a lot more effort to prove myself at every step. And with so much happening around and with so many things that is going on around, so to put that extra effort to prove myself every time was so overwhelming. And it seemed like as though he was so discontent with me. And it was so much that I didn't feel like going to work, because when you're working for somebody and that person is so discontent with you and you're not able to do much about it, and it was so difficult to even reason with that person. So to as a gist, I was in a big storm at work. So there was so much going on in my mind. So one day I got up for my morning meditation that we call Amrit Vela, where we sit in God's remembrance. So that morning, there was so much going on in my mind about work. And I sat for meditation, but I couldn't remember God. I couldn't sit in his remembrance. And I told him, see, I'm not able to remember you. I know I'm supposed to remember you, but I'm not able to. And I don't want to pretend like I'm trying to remember you. I just want to sit with my problems today and just sit and complain. as though I just wanted to surrender myself to all my problems and want to talk about it. And as though I felt like Baba, we call him Baba, and um, God. He told, like, you do what you're supposed to do, I'll just be here. So I kept on complaining about things, and mainly about my manager, because my manager was the face of all my problems, because I also could justify with his behavior. So I went on that it never appreciates, it doesn't recognize, and my managers keep changing this, that. So it went on, and after a little while, I heard a voice in my mind that I am your manager. And I had never thought about this, that God can be my manager. It was God who said that I am your manager. It was something I had never thought of and I had never heard of. And that moment gave me so much relief, that as though a lump in my chest was removed. I felt very relieved. Yes, God is my manager. And that manager at work is just my brother who needs help from me. So in that one moment, my self-respect, or my stage was elevated so high that I'm working for God. And I was so happy to go to work that day, that I'm going to work for God. And I'm going to help my little brother, that is my manager, at work. And I'll go and help him to trust me. So the situation turned around when that experience changed my mindset from limited to the unlimited. I became so big, and the situation started looking so small. And when I was going through that situation, there were so many complaints that my managers are changing and he doesn't appreciate me, he doesn't recognize, I cannot talk to him, he doesn't guide me. And all those vanished, because now my manager is God and he does all that. My manager never changes, he remains the same. He always appreciates me, is always there to guide me. So all my complaints vanished in a second with that experience and with that understanding and perspective. So whenever we have questions, they are like little locks in our intellects. They stop us from thinking clearly, as though we can't think of solutions, and they make us prisoners. And constantly, by having questions and complaints, it drains our energy. Why did this happen to me? How could it happen? What did I do? It drains so much of our energy, and our complaints justify our pain. Of course, I'll be painful. Of course, I'll be angry. So we don't try to do anything about removing that pain. So that brings us to a question. Does pain have any significance? Does pain serve us in any way? So if you can answer this question in the chat window, you can take a look. Yes, no. Yes, no, never. No, no, it doesn't. Growth. No, it makes us weak, but it opens up opportunities. So pain definitely has a purpose to serve, right? There was this situation, there was this happened. So one of my friends, he doesn't have sensation in his right hand. And he was holding his right hand against a hot tea mug. And since he doesn't have sensation, he never realized that his hand is against that hot cup of tea. And before he saw it, before he realized, he had a blister on his right hand. And he kept, so when he had that blister for a few days, he kept on telling that I don't know how to feel about this. I burnt my hand, I didn't feel the pain. I have a blister, I don't feel the pain. If we had sensation in his hand, so it was just a pain of a second. Pain actually was a message that you are doing something wrong. You need to change something. So it would be a pain of a second. He would move his hand, then he would protect himself from getting burned. So any pain that comes to us is just a message that we are doing something wrong. We need to change something. So even when we have a back pain, so it is telling something that our posture is not right. So we need to correct our posture. So pain is just a message that is telling us that we need to correct something in what we are doing and how we are doing. So when we take painkillers, so it just numbs the pain for a little while, but it will come back again if you have not corrected our posture. So even in my work situation, I was in a lot of pain. And that pain was telling that I need to change something. I need to move from limited thinking to the unlimited thinking. So even emotional pain and spiritual pain is telling something that we need to change, and we need to see what is the message that I'm getting, and it doesn't go away till I take its message, till I correct it. So pain has its significance. It is not good or bad, but it is just bringing us a message, and we need to open to hear what it is telling. So in any uncertainty, it is very important that we don't get lost in the details, but be in that present moment on the thing that we need to focus on. So a juggler, it might look like as though is playing with a lot of, handling a lot of balls at the same time. So it wonders us, but all that juggler is doing is focusing on his, just on his next ball. When he takes care of the one ball, then rest of the things will automatically fall in place. So instead of focusing on his ball that he need to focus on, if he thinks of the ball that passed, or if he thinks the future ball, about the future ball, then if he loses attention on that ball, then he loses everything. All that he needs to do is to be present and focused on the thing at hand. And even in the present moment, we also need to check whether we are body conscious. It is not just enough to be present in the moment, but in that present moment also, whether I'm body conscious or soul conscious, whether I'm in the limited or whether I'm in the unlimited. So whenever we go through uncertainties and big situations, we might go through that situation and we might come out successful. So we might put all our power, all our courage, and everything that we have into that situation and might still come out of that situation. Say if somebody was going through a big business loss, they might still come out successful without losing much from it. But it is also important, when we are going through that situation, are we losing something? Did I lose peace of mind while doing all that? Somebody might come out of a challenge successfully, but they might have an health issue after that. If they have, say, blood pressure or diabetes, or if any health condition. So it is still not a success because they sacrificed or they paid something else for it. Did I stop trusting people when I went through an uncertainty or an issue? Or did I lose a relationship in the process? And that is not really a success, right? We also need to check if I paid for it with something else. So we need to take care even while handling. Am I losing or am I paying with something else? And also, when we are handling different situation, how well we protect ourselves. So there is this student, or there's a story of a student and a teacher. A student meets his teacher after a very long time, after a lot of years. And this student has a lot of love and lot of respect towards this teacher. He always, throughout his life, he kept thanking this teacher and he had so much gratitude. So when he sees him after a long time, the student runs to him with so much happiness and he goes and talks to the teacher. And then the student reminds the teacher, do you remember me? I am from that class that one day a watch was stolen and you made all of the students look towards the wall and stand in the line. And you search for that watch in everyone's pocket. Do you remember that? Yes. And the teacher says, yes, yes, I remember that day. And we found the watch that day. The teacher says, and then the student says, yes, we found the watch. And it was me in whose pocket you found the watch. And I'm so grateful to you that you never told anybody that you found the watch was found in my pocket and it was with me. And I'm so grateful. And because of you, I was not thrown out of the school and I did my education well. And then I'm doing very well in my career also. And it is all because of you. And then the teacher says, oh, really? Was it you? I also didn't know because when I was searching, even I had closed my eyes. So whenever we are in a position, it is important that we handle and we do our role, but also we need to check, are we protecting ourselves? It is not that that something great about that teacher that, you know, he never told. Of course, it was there, but it is secondary. But that teacher also protected himself from seeing who actually stole that watch. So we need to do our task and we need to do things, but we also need to protect ourselves from putting others rubbish. And that was not necessary for the teacher that who stole and what. Right. So when we are going through things, we also should take care that we are not picking others' rubbish or others' weaknesses. We need to protect ourselves and be clean ourselves. So, so we all have gone through this phase that a phase where everything seemed uncertain. It was the most uncertain time, yet there was this innate certainty. Though everything was uncertain around, there was still innate uncertainty. Can you tell what that stage is if you know or if you remember? We all have seen this stage. Lockdown stage, inner peace, hope. So it was when we were a child, right? So it was the most uncertain time. It was a most vulnerable stage and most dependent time. We were the most dependent when we were a child, and a lot of changes were happening. So one day a sleep pattern is different, the next moment it is different, even the food habits, and my growth is so fast, and there's so many changes that are happening, and we are the most vulnerable when we were children. Yet there was that innate faith, innate certainty that there is somebody to take care of us. There are my parents who will take care of us. So in spite of so many uncertainties, the child has that faith and innocence and purity within them. So Kusum Didi, our teacher, was telling the other day about like how children go so fast, and they outgrow all their clothes, but they don't worry that as a child I might outgrow my cloth in a week, right? But they never worry that what will happen if these clothes don't fit me, and what about my breakfast or lunch tomorrow. They never worry about it, though they are not able to cook, right? Because they have this innocence and purity which attract everyone, and everyone would want to do anything for that child because of their innocence and purity, and they're so carefree because of that faith. So whenever uncertainties are going on around, so to have that plain faith. So if we mix questions with faith, how and why and all those, then the faith doesn't work. Faith has to be very simple, childlike. I will be taken care no matter what. And that is when faith works. Faith itself has to be very pure, like a child, and we will be taken care. And we need to focus on holding on to our innocence and holding on to our purity, and things will be automatically taken care of. And relationships, being emotional beings, relationships are something that we look comfort in the most. We look for that emotional comfort in relationships because all relationships have, and every relationship will have, has something to offer us, some attainments we get, and that is why we'll look for those relationships. And it is important, and we also learn in Raj Yoga meditation to experience all the relationships possible with God. Because I will share an experience. So it was a few years back that there was something that happened back in India, and it might have been a very small situation, but for me in my head it was a big situation, and I wanted to share with somebody and talk about with somebody, and I came out, and then my husband was there, but he was busy with some office issues, and I shared with him, and he listened to it, and he didn't respond anything as though it was nothing. But I wanted somebody to talk to, and somebody who can respond to me, right? I was a little upset that my husband was not emotionally available for me. So I went inside and I sat and started talking with God as my companion, somebody who can listen to me and who can console me. And I sat and spoke with God for some time, and I was satisfied with whatever conversation I had, and I felt very consoled. And after I came out, I was available for my husband, right? So otherwise, if I didn't do that, if I was not satisfied, then I would hold my expectations from my husband, because he's somebody who's supposed to be there for me emotionally when I'm in that stage, right? So I freed in a way that the other person in the relationship from my expectations, because I was satisfied and I attained everything I had to attain from a companion. right? I freed my husband from my expectations. So God is always available for us. Somebody might be physically available, but they might not be emotionally available because everybody is going through a lot of things. They themselves have a lot of problems and issues that they're handling themselves. They might not be available for us, but God is always available, and we can experience any relationship and get all those attainments from him, and is somebody who accepts us unconditionally, right? So, and also, like, when I experience a relationship with God, say for example, if I experience a relation God as my mother, and I know how a mother should be, and I myself will be a good mother because I have a good example which is there to guide me, right? So to handle uncertainties in relationship, so this helps when we experience different relationships, all possible. So wherever, whatever relationship we have uncertainty or issues with, we can experience that with God. And when we talk about uncertainties, so whenever we say uncertainty, we think about big uncertainty, say of an earthquake or losing a job or losing a loved one. But before all that, we need to check small uncertainties that happen every day. How are we handling that? There might be small situations, say somebody puts a towel or something at some place every day in the house. It is not a big uncertainty. It is not a big thing. That is something that happens every day. How am I handling those small things? We need to check, and we need to remove all those small little things which will take away all our energy. So when we remove those small things, we will have that mental strength to handle bigger things. So we can make a list of small things we can get better at. Close relationships where are small frictions, we can remove those so that it helps us to stay charged. And a few habits which are not helping us grow or to build some discipline. So we can look at those little things which are uncertain. So there might be habits. I might do something today, but I might not be doing it the next day. It is also an uncertainty because I'm not sure if I'll be doing that a good habit the next day. So we can check all those small things so that when we win over the small uncertainties, then we feel encouraged, we feel empowered, and as though we are prepared for bigger uncertainties. And we also will have that energy to face bigger uncertainties. So we need to check those low hanging fruits. We don't have to go climb a tree and pick the fruits which are on top, which are big uncertainties. We can look initially for those low hanging fruits, small uncertainties we can target. So it is also important that when we see in the past few years, there are a lot of uncertainties that we are seeing than before. And why is that happening? So there were so many things that is going on around which we might not have seen, whether it is in relationships, whether it is in nature, whether it is within ourselves. So there is this law of entropy, and the law of entropy says things move from order to disorder unless there is an external force. Order to disorder, new to old. Something will move from new to the old without any external force. For something to become old to new, it needs force. And something clean to dirty. Our house is clean. We never say that I want to go home today and make my house dirty. No, there's no effort needed for it to become dirty. It automatically happens. But the effort is needed to make it clean again, to clean the house again. So things go from order to disorder unless there's an external force. So a battery gets discharged automatically whether we use the phone or not. When we are using, it gets discharged faster. If we are not using, it just takes a little longer to get discharged, but it automatically gets discharged. But to charge it, it needs effort. That external force is required. So similarly, now the world has moved from new to the old. The house, as though it has become very old. You touch a little bit somewhere, everything falls apart. You trigger a little emotion in somebody, they explode, right? So everybody is being discharged. So we have become so tired, we cannot handle things. So that is how there's so much uncertainty. And that is why this is also the time that we need to charge ourselves to make old to new. And it takes that external force, that effort to make everything new again. And that starts from ourselves, from charging ourselves back, connecting to the Supreme Soul, God, the Father. So let's end with this beautiful story of a mother and a son. There was a mother sitting on the sofa. She's doing embroidery. And the son comes running and sits at her feet down. And when he looks up, he can only see the backside of the embroidery. And he looks at the embroidery and then he says that, it looks so ugly. There are some bright threads going between dark threads, and there are some dark threads going in between bright threads. And it looks very ugly. So the mother tells, okay, that is okay. You go to play now, and I will finish the embroidery work soon. I finish what I'm doing very soon by the time you come back, and I will show you how it looks from the other side. And the boy goes out to play, and the mother finishes the embroidery, and he calls the boy and he puts the boy in her lap, and he shows the embroidery to the boy on the other side. And the boy becomes so surprised looking at that beautiful embroidery. And the mother then says, so when you were seeing, you were looking on the other side, but on this side, from where I was looking, I had a plan, I had a blueprint, and I was just following that blueprint. But you couldn't see that from the other side, so you thought it is not beautiful. But I always had a plan and I was just following that. So similarly, God also always has a plan, she says. And the boy grows. So whenever he goes through difficult times, after something nice, he always reminded himself that God is creating something beautiful. He has a plan. So God indeed has a plan. He indeed is creating something very beautiful. We might not be able to see when we are going through, but He is creating something very, very beautiful. And to know His plan, I would like to invite you all to do Raj Yoga course. We understand His plan and what He is doing and what is the importance of time. If you have not done Raj Yoga course, you can I would invite you to do the course, and if any of your friends and relatives have not done, there will be a Raj Yoga course that will be starting very soon. It'll be very beneficial to understand and to just reiterate the benefits and what we learn in Raj Yoga meditation with respect to uncertainty. So we get a lot of clarity when we meditate, when we understand the knowledge, and when we see the bigger picture. And it helps to remove that unnecessary chatter that don't serve us. And we also get power. So whenever there's a situation, we need that power to face, and we get that power when we sit connected to the Supreme and charge ourselves. And it helps us to bring perspective into any situation that is happening. So let's meditate for a few minutes. In the scheme of things, like a battery, toward the end of the day, I, the soul, have lost my power. I'm drained. I have gone through a long journey. It's now time for me to recharge, connecting to my Father, the powerhouse, the one who is ever charged, ever pure, ever peaceful. So I'm ready for a new day, a new show. And as they say, the show must go on. So, Brahma Kumaris, a little bit about the organization and the upcoming events. Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization is a non-profit organization that was founded in 1937, and we have global presence over in 130 countries, over 8,000 centers, and we have more than 1 million practicing members worldwide. And the motto of the organization is world transformation through self-transformation. So it is to help every individual to transform themselves, and automatically there will be world transformation. So everything that is old will become new. So Brahma Kumaris chapter is led by Kusum Didi, System Kusum Kejriwal, and she's been practicing Raj Yoga meditation since childhood, and she surrendered her life um, 38 years before, and she came to the Bay Area 25 years ago, and she started the center, and we all are benefiting from it. And if you have not visited the center, we are in Milpitas. Of course, everything now is online, but whenever the center opens, would like to invite every one of you to the center on behalf of everyone from the center and Didi. And we have over 200 regular students at the center listening to Morley class, which is everyday spiritual discourse that we listen to the knowledge every day in the morning, and we start our day with it. And you can see the address and the website details over here. And we offer Raj Yoga meditation and webinars that happen every week, and different events. And there are classes every weekend for kids and parents. And there are also monthly retreats. And none of the events and none of the classes that are offered are, everything is free of cost, but contributions are welcomed. So if you like to contribute, you can contribute on through the website, and it is a non-profit organization, so the contribution that you'll make will be fully tax deductible. And upcoming classes and events. So we are having a new batch of Raj Yoga meditation in the month of February, starting February 6th. So there's both in English and Hindi. So English is from English in the evening, 6 to 7, and Hindi in the morning, 10 to 11. So you can register on the website. And webinars on, you can also register for webinars on the website. And every week we have living value classes for kids that happen at 10:30 to 11:30, and also parenting classes, raising confident kids, from 2 to 3 on Sundays. And every day we have this live guided meditation that happens in the evening, so which is telecasted on YouTube. So you can join there, or you can share about this with your friends and family who are new to meditation, so they can get the taste of meditation. So if there are any questions, we can now take up. So you can either send the question in Q&A window or the chat window.
Om Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti.
Thank you so much for the wonderful webinar. It was so simple, and you enriched it with your personal experiences, so we could relate more. And one of the very important, and I think you made us all carefree, that if I am pure and innocent, no matter what, I will be taken care of. So we all become carefree that way. And God always has a plan for me. So in this world of uncertainty, this is one thing which we can hang on to and, be happy. So we still don't have any questions. I would request the audience, we can give them a few seconds, and if they have any questions, they can put it in the chat window or the Q&A.